to the channel. Today we are going to be doing our reactions to the matches that took place in WWE's Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which took place last night for us. So it was on Sunday night.
20th of June?
Whoa,
yeah, 20th
what
of
date
June.
is it? On the 20th of June.
I'm losing my thought as well.
So being in the UK, we would have had to stay up till silly hours to watch it.
I think it started at 1 a.m.
Yeah, so we
would have
watched
been till
it
4.
this morning instead.
Well, this morning, this afternoon, yeah.
Casual.
Even though there was only 6, technically 7 with a pre-show, the main event still ran for 3 hours now. It was like 2 hours, 50 minutes and some odd seconds.
Yes.
So for 6 matches, that's pretty long by today's standards.
It is quite long. I think the first thing that I wanted to cover myself was rumour and innuendo. So we talked in the predictions video, which if you haven't watched, give it a watch. We'll put a card in so you can click on it. There was the Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio match, Hell in a Cell match, which was moved on to Smackdown instead of being in the pay-per-view. And what I've heard through reliable sources, aka Twitter, is that match was moved because Roman Reigns didn't want to work on Father's Day, which happened to be on Sunday. So whether or not that's true, I don't know, but it is one explanation as to why they put a Hell in a Cell match on not a pay-per-view show.
But the thing that bugs me, if that is true, is what about all the other fathers? Like
yes.
Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch has got like a 6-month-old child.
Yeah, that would have been his first Father's Day.
I mean, a lot of the other guys are going to be fathers as well.
Yeah.
So what makes Roman Reigns so special when he's supposed to be the face of the company?
It's a bit, and it would have been quite fitting because Rey Mysterio was in the match to sort of defend the honour of his son. So they've got the father sort of connection there. But there we go. That's that. So do you have any overall thoughts for the pay-per-view before we get into the matches?
Meh.
Yeah.
I think.
I felt like it didn't really feel like a pay-per-view to me, even though you had the Hell in a Cell matches. I think it just felt a bit like it could have been a Raw or a Smackdown.
Yeah. I mean, Raw is 3 hours long.
Yeah.
So effectively, Hell in a Cell and Raw are the same length in time. You could have easily just thrown some of these matches onto Raw and be done with it.
Yeah. I mean, we went in with fairly low expectations because of the way WWE product has been and how our expectations have been raised by products like AEW recently because they just stormed ahead.
Well, there's that AEW have booked that show. I believe it's in September in Newark, New Jersey, and New York tends to be a WWE territory. Yeah, a WWE event booked in the same month in the same sort of area isn't selling many tickets, whereas AEW sold like 10,000 already.
Yeah.
So
it just goes to show that some companies are doing things right and some...
I think it's Chris Jericho put on his social medias. There was a newspaper that ran an article, I don't know where, it might have been Canada, maybe I'm not entirely certain what it was, and the headline was, "Wham Bam, Look Out McMahon." And I loved that, I thought that was fantastic.
Great.
But it's true, because it's good to see, I mean, not to poo-poo all over the WWE product, but competition is a good thing.
Yes.
WWE or WWF back at the time, was at its best when you had WCW as the competitor. You had a competition, you had to up your game, and the Monday Night Wars was a massive thing. It was 83 weeks where WCW was topping WWF at the time. Then they pushed Austin, they pushed Undertaker, they pushed The Rock, the Attitude Era, DX, Triple H, and they just kind of started edging up. And in the end, WWF won. They bought out WCW because they had that competition to play off of, and they got better and they went from strength to strength. As it stands now, Ring of Honor, it's an independent promotion. It's on syndicated TV, but there's not many territories. It doesn't air in the UK at all, as far as I'm aware. I've never seen it on TV.
No.
You've got Impact Wrestling, which I don't know if it still does air. It used to air on Channel 5. I don't know if it does anymore. Or TNA, as it was affectionately known back in the day, but Jeff Jarrett started it up, and Dixie Carter. And then, obviously, now AEW's come along, and they've got massive names in it. They've got Jericho, they've got Mark Henry's jump ship, Big Show has jump ship, Paul White has jump ship. You've got the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, so many massive talents. And they got the backing of Tony Khan, who is from a very wealthy family, who can literally put this money into it, unlike someone like a Ring of Honor might not be able to, or an Impact Wrestling might not be able to. You know, so to get that competition is definitely a good thing.
Yes.
And it just
100%.
happens at the moment that in our opinions, AEW, WWE is here and AEW is up here somewhere because the product, the storytelling, they know what the fans want and they give the fans what they want. There was that whole thing with Steph, Triple H and Vince coming out a couple of years back and we're going to give the fans what they want.
We're listening to the fans.
Yeah, we're still waiting, guys. Just so you know, I'm sick of Roman Reigns being shoved down my throat like a cheap prostitute. I'm sick of Drew McIntyre now getting shoved down my throat like a cheap prostitute. You know.
The trouble is, it feels like WWE isn't trying to compete. It's sort of copying a couple of things, maybe, but then otherwise it's sort of a feeling of we're the bigger company, so we're great. We're going to do what we want. I'm
pretty sure I did read a report where Vince doesn't see AEW as a threat. That's a bad move.
Yeah,
that is a very bad move.
Does Vince? Does
Vance
Vince
McMahon
really know what he's talking about anymore anyway?
I mean, there is that rumour. It's a very big rumour at the moment. There's no backing to it or proof or evidence, or whatever you want to call it, that Vince McMahon might be looking to sell off the WWE to someone like NBC.
Which could save it or could kill it.
A network holding a company like that, it'll kill it. Absolutely kill it.
Yeah.
In that situation, what does Triple H think? He's been grafting, he's been busting his rear end for years. Everyone thought Triple H will take over. And then if Vince just hands the keys to the kingdom over to someone like an NBC, I would imagine Triple H would be like, screw this, I'm out.
Triple H and AEW?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? That'd be so good.
Anyway, I mean, despite its problems, WWE and this pay-per-view did have some saving graces, some great moments. So let's get into it.
Yeah, so we'll just preface that first off. We're going, this is the final ever pay-per-view. Well, I say ever. It's the final pay-per-view of this particular moment that will take place in the Thunderdome.
Touch wood.
Next month's pay-per-view event is the Money in the Bank. That's on July 18. That is taking place in, I can't remember the name of the place, but it is taking place in front of a live audience.
In an undisclosed location.
Yeah. One thing that's been bugging me a little bit about the product as well is that they've not really used much in the way of metal songs. WWE or WWF back in the day would have metal, System of a Down, you'd have Fear Factor, all these great songs.
There's a whole connection. Rock and
wrestling. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And recently, I mean, NXT aside, because they've had Poppy, they've had Code Orange doing Alistair Black's live music and things like that. I mean, Shayna Baszler did have Ash Costello doing her music at WrestleMania, but in terms of...
Not Shayna Baszler.
Rhea Ripley. Yeah, sorry, Rhea Ripley. But a lot of it tends to be rap or pop or hip hop, and it's like, just please, not everyone likes that. If you're going to do that, have one rap, pop, hip hop, whatever, and one rocky metal theme. Do 2 anthems. Simple.
Yeah, and there's always been the connection, so why is it fizzled? But anyway.
But in this particular instance, the theme track for this particular pay-per-view, which I thought was fantastic, is Ozzy Osbourne's Straight to Hell. And it fits really well. Hell in a Cell, Ozzy Osbourne, you're going straight to hell, boom, done.
And Ozzy Osbourne is a WWE Hall of Famer.
Yes, he is.
As well.
Went in this year. Yes, he did. Yes,
so
he did.
It's a nice touch.
And we've seen him live.
Yeah. Brag.
Love Ozzy. Love Ozzy with Black Sabbath. So first up we had the pre-show. It was an hour long and it was about 45-50 minutes of, hey, this has happened, that's happened, recaps. That's great, all well and good, that's fantastic.
We've seen them all quite recently, so we can skip past it.
So,
but for someone who's just watching the pay-per-views, it's really handy.
Exactly. You have like the panels with the King and Booker and whoever else might have been there. We didn't see any of the panel stuff, so I don't. But they did have a match on there which spun out of Monday Night Raw, which was Mandy Rose accompanied by Dana Brooke, taking on Natalia, accompanied by Tamina, who are the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. Throwaway match.
Yeah, I think.
If there was a live crowd, they wouldn't have gotten into it, I guarantee that.
Yeah.
It was just a bit meh.
I think because we tuned in just as they were starting to come to the ring, we're like, oh, it's a title match. This will be interesting.
Yeah.
And then it ended up just being a singles match that seemed to have not really much lead up to it and not really many consequences.
Yeah, no, it's just a throwaway match.
Yeah, nothing really of consequence happened.
One thing that bugged me is, and Natty's been in the business for a long time. She comes from a long lineage. But I don't particularly like her in-ring style, and I don't particularly like her whingy-ass character. I'm going to just throw that out there.
Well, I mean, if you
apologies for the language, but she's a whingy-ass character.
Watching Total Bellas, I mean, not Total Bellas, Total Divas, you really see who she is in real life, and it's like, oh.
She has to be the centre of attraction. She has to get everything her way. And I don't know if it was her or Mandy at fault in this match, but there was a part where there was a clothesline, And you literally, Natalia was throwing the clothesline and Mandy just...
Stiff.
And then the clothesline hit. And it's like...
She was just waiting.
You knew it was coming. You made that look so sloppy.
Yeah.
I don't know whose fault. Whether that was Mandy's for going too early to brace for it, or whether Natalia missed her timings. I honestly don't know.
It's
and that's
probably a mixture of both, I'd imagine.
Maybe, you know. And I don't want to sort of rip on them, but you've been in the business long enough. You should know what you're doing.
Yeah,
right?
I think Mandy's really good, but maybe doesn't have that experience.
Yeah, she's still got that sort of greenish kind of thing on her wrestling style.
And Natty's got the experience, but she can slip. She really can.
But then she gets flustered, and you can see it. And
so both of them could have definitely been at fault there.
Yeah, if that was me, I probably would have thrown Tamina in with Mandy, and I think that would have been a more enjoyable match. Or even Mandy versus Dana.
Mandy would have gotten wrecked.
I know Mandy versus Dana, Tamina versus Dana. Yeah. Because Dana's a legit powerhouse. You know, she's a legit bodybuilder. She does a lot of bodybuilding work.
Maybe they're leading more up to that, because now we've had Natty versus Mandy, then we have the other two. I think that would be a better match, definitely, because they're both like strong. I want to give us more Tamina. Yeah,
Tamina's she's been in the business for ages. She keeps getting injured. Like she had a few injuries in the last sort of decade or so. It's about this is her first title. The women's title is her first title in WWE, and this is the daughter of the legendary Superfly Jimmy Snuka. Yeah, you know. She deserves better. She really does.
Yes, definitely.
One last staple on that. So Natalia wins. Natalia wins by sharpshooter, as it is, you know, handed down to her by her uncle Bret Hart.
Yeah, a classic.
But then after the match, she starts doing this sort of like cocky kind of gimmick, like haha, I win, trying to hold the belt up, and it just looks so forced.
She's not a heel. She's okay as a face. When she tries to be a heel, she overacts, or it just doesn't quite fit with her, does it?
I would put Natalia in the same bracket as Dolph Ziggler. I'm not a fan of Dolph Ziggler. He's great in-ring talent, but his overselling just spins me out to no end. I hate it. Absolutely hate his overselling. He just goes too far. Yeah. And people are like, oh, he's the next Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels never sold that bad. Shawn Michaels, when he did his flip up, when he hit the turnbuckle and he'd bounce over, that would look like $1 million. Yeah. He takes his stunner, looks like $1 million. Dolph Ziggler gets thrown in the corner, he's flipping around for 10 minutes, you might as well make a damn cup of tea before he lands and hits the mat, you know?
At least make it believable, but yeah.
So that match ran for 9 minutes and 45 seconds.
Ooh, look at you with all the timing.
I know, right? A bit like this, right? I come prepared. Boom. So then they obviously started into the main card after the pre-show. They, this is coming up or whatever, and they show one last match preview, and then they hit the main card. Had this really interesting cold open, and I believe it's from a film called Warriors. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
I did see something about it. It's a 1979 film where basically there's this voice on the airways in a post-apocalyptic kind of world. Oh, you know who I am. And
that's what that was.
That's what that was.
I was
it's based
confused.
Around that. You were kind of like, where's this come from? But it was cool.
What was it? You know who I am, and we were like,
yeah,
no,
you know, you know who it is, something like that. And it was a cool cold open. I quite liked it. You know, I thought it was pretty cool.
It did leave me wondering who on earth it was, but I guess we were never meant to know.
I'm wondering if it's someone from NXT.
Possibly.
Which is a possibility.
They had a very good voice.
Yes. So then we go straight into the main card. I had a feeling they would sandwich the Hell in a Cell matches, so one right at the beginning, one right at the end, as opposed to having two back to back, and you get burnt out by that.
Yes, that makes sense.
It was obvious as well. I did say Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. I think I said it on the prediction videos. That's going to last. Yeah, absolutely, it's going to be the last match. So the first match on the card was Bayley versus Bianca Belair for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Do they make these titles any longer?
This was the match that I said in the predictions video that I was looking forward to the most.
Yes. So it was a pretty decent match, to be fair. I mean, they both look pretty strong, unless you're Bayley trying to lift up stairs.
Oh, Bayley.
The steps aren't that heavy, they're hollow. She made them look like they were solid concrete.
They've gone through phases of saying solid steel steps. Oops. But then when someone picks them up, you can see they're hollow. It's like it's not flimsy, but it's lightweight metal, so they can be moved around easily. But she's picking it up like it's a
bag of concrete,
and just like lifting it up onto the side of the ring.
It just looks so janky and it looks horrific. And I'm just like,
everyone knows that they are not that heavy.
And then sort of spoiler alert, you get later on in the line Drew McIntyre. Yes, he's bigger than Bayley. Yes, he might. But he just literally goes thump, whoomph, and it's like, so is Bayley got the comparable strength of a goldfish?
She's just we're meant to be showing women as strong people here.
So yeah, she overdid that. Didn't particularly like that in the match. One thing we thought was a cool spot was when she tied her hair to the ropes.
Yes.
Tied Bianca's hair to the ropes. She went to run, bounce off and do something else. Bianca jumps up, pulls her hair, trips her face first into aforementioned stairs. That was a really good spot, to be fair. Although I do think they used the hair tying too much.
Yes, I
think... It was like 4 times?
I wanted them to use the hair, but it was always tying it to something. I know they did a bit of whipping with it, but it was tying it to the ropes. They tied it to a chair. That was pretty cool, though, the way Bianca could sort of use that to her advantage. Yeah. And then she tied her own hair to Bayley's arm, which...
And then she got the kendo stick.
I mean, yeah.
And it's you can't get the range to swing a stick.
No.
So you kind of like, at this range, hitting someone with a stick, you're not getting that full leverage.
Yes. So, in a way, it means that Bayley couldn't get the distance to do like running moves and that sort of thing. But at the same time, Bianca couldn't do that either because she was stuck. And like you say, she can't swing a stick properly.
It almost turned into that sort of, like you said, when you're watching it, the strap match or the dog collar matches.
The strap match. And then she was trying to untie it, and you could see that Bayley was helping her.
Even when she was tying it, she wasn't even holding Bayley's hand down.
No.
That bugged me as well. So Bayley's just sat there like...
Just waiting.
It's like, come on, really? At least as Bianca should have put her foot on her arm or her hand to hold it down, and Bayley could have kind of given a bit of a struggle, you know, and okay, bang, elbow to the face, keep tying, bang, elbow to the face, keep tying.
It's like, then in WWE apparently they're not allowed to do leg slaps to make a hit sound real.
I hate this.
But they can't make other things seem real because they're just letting people do things, or they're ref watching and all this. It's like, well, leg slaps is the least of your worries.
Yeah, I think that NXT's got that down pat. Adam Cole is the king of leg slaps, and you don't see it. You never see him do it. He's the king of it. All you've got to do is get Adam Cole to the main roster and go, this is how you do it.
Teach him all a thing or two.
Yeah. It's not that difficult.
No.
Another thing that bugged me with this match was the super quick camera cuts. Every time there was like a kendo stick or like a punching brawl, cut, and it's like, really?
It makes it a bit worse with
where
the cage as well, because it can sort of mess with your eyes.
It's quite jarring, it's quite jarring. I think I mentioned one of the later promos where the screen's kind of flickering upward. That started playing with my eyes a little bit.
Yeah.
I started feeling a bit, I don't feel quite right with this.
I mean, overall it was a good match.
It was a decent match, it was a decent match. Bianca Belair sort of hit her finish with a kiss of death on the ladder. Yeah. That looked brutal. Twisted the ladder up to no end. Yeah. Pinned her and won the match, which was great. Go on.
I was going to move on to her promo afterwards, the interview.
But just before that, so Bianca's in the ring celebrating, she's got her title, she's like, yeah, I won. And they're piping in this ridiculously fake EST chant, and it just sounds awful.
I mean, which of the piped in WWE chants sounds real at the moment?
That sounded particularly awful.
Yeah, there's some really bad ones.
Anyway, carry on.
So they quite often will do the interview with the winner, especially if it's a championship match, to be like, how are you feeling? That was good, yay. Oh, a fly.
I just got that.
And then, but Bianca, she started off, it was sort of normal. It's like, I won, I'm so happy.
Yeah, it's like, it was a tough match, but I got through it, and Bayley's tough.
But Bayley beat the hell out of me.
Yeah, what'd she say? I think it was something along the lines of, Bayley kicked my butt.
Bayley kicked my butt, and I won't forgive her for that, or I can't forgive her.
And then she storms off.
But
it's like, wait, you won the match. What?
You entered into a contract to have a Hell in the Cell match with someone. There wasn't any blood in this match, was there? No. So, I mean, you can't say it was particularly brutal. There were some quite hard moves, but mostly towards Bayley.
Yeah.
So how can you not forgive someone for basically doing what you signed a contract to let them do? So it's obviously sort of trying to build up to a rematch or more storyline, but it felt unnatural.
It's backwards.
Yeah.
The champion should never go, well, I beat this challenger, now I want to fight them again. Because that's not how it works. It should be the challenger's like, well, she had the upper hand on me, I'm going to come out, I'm going to challenge her again because I think I deserve the title.
Yeah, I was expecting that promo to go the way of Bayley kicked my ass. She was great, she did a good job and I respect her. And then that would end it on a good note and sort of, that would have felt like something, but now it feels unresolved and unnatural.
Yeah, or even like something along the lines of, I kicked Bayley's ass, there's nothing she could do about it, or cocky like.
Yeah.
And then Bayley be like, oh, you'd be talking smack about me, and then jumping up from here or something, you know?
There's
that
so
would have
many
felt
ways
better,
they could have done it, and the way they picked wasn't a way, I don't think, maybe it'll turn into something, but I can't see how they can make that feel right.
I don't think you can. No, that point.
It's a shame.
Yeah, there was the whole point in the match as well where Bayley brought out those double kendo sticks.
Oh, yeah.
And kept telling Michael Cole to shut up. It was something along the lines of, shut up, Michael Cole, they watch me, they know. And apparently that started trending on Twitter. People started telling Michael Cole to shut up in really obscure ways, apparently. I haven't seen any of it, but I might go and have a look at that.
She's been telling him to shut up for a while, but this is quite a fun one.
It seems to be a feel. How long do we get Bayley versus Michael Cole, do you think?
I'd love to see it.
Michael Cole wrestled at WrestleMania once.
Nice.
So that match went for 19 minutes and 45 seconds. It's the second longest match.
I think we both predicted Belair to win.
We did, yeah. We both said Belair was going to win that. So after the weird promo by Bianca, we had an Alexa Bliss in her playground, little kind of promo kind of thing. I got some like super wicked goth Joker vibe from that.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. I loved that.
It was a very good promo.
It was quite short. It was sweet. That's all you need.
Just like Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, pretty much. So next second match on the card then was Cesaro versus good old Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, the Messiah, that guy.
Not doing the Messiah gimmick now.
Well, I think he's still trying to kind of semi-push it. I don't know what they're doing.
It's sort of a slightly dumbed-down version of, but he's not using the term.
Yeah. So Cesaro comes out and he's got his kinesio tape on his shoulder and he's just coming to the ring. And as should be expected by Cesaro, Seth Rollins just blindsides from behind, starts lamping Seth and had bells out of him.
Yeah, that was kind of.
I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. A good start to the match.
Was, yeah.
So they go in the ring and they're stripping their jackets off, and the ref's like, "Break it up! We need to start the match." And they're ripping their jackets, like they're ready to go at each other. And instead of sort of a normal wrestling match, you jump in and do a lock up. It was literally like whack, 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 whack. It's like, oh, this is great, love it, brawl, absolute brawl. Didn't expect much technical from this match because of that sort of bad blood between the two. And it pretty much came down to a brawl, which is what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But then sort of towards the sort of back quarter of the match, it did start becoming a submission fest.
Yes.
After the swing. After Cesaro got the swing on Seth, and it became more of a submission match. And it was like, oh, God, okay, they're going for all these submission balls. What's going on? But then, out of nowhere, just Seth Rollins just rolls him up and pins him in a small package. And it's like...
So he did...
What?
Cesaro did that swing, and I said to you, wouldn't it be cool if Seth Rollins could find a way to counter a swing? And we were talking about how you'd have to get a counter in before the swing started, because once you've got the momentum, he's literally gotten by the ankles and spinning him round. Once you're in that, there's no way out apart from being let go of.
Yeah.
And then I think, I could be wrong, because it was a very quick exchange.
I think you're right, it
looked like Cesaro was picking Seth up.
He was picking that ankle again, yeah.
And I think, was it Seth sort of managed to roll up, grab him, and pull him down?
I think he sort of, as one leg's up in the air, he hooked his other one round, grabbed him by the neck and rolled him up in a small package.
So what I said would be cool to see did happen.
Yeah.
And he got the pin from it, and that was quite a cool moment, I think.
On the downside of that, you picked Cesaro to win.
I did, but you know, I quite like being proved wrong sometimes because it means things aren't as predictable as I think they're going to be.
just to point out, as much as I'm not really a fan of Seth Rollins' character, I mean, he's a heel, you're not really meant to like him. It grates on me, the fake laugh with Bayley, that just the way he is right now, I'm not particularly a fan of it, but his in-ring ability is superb. He's one of the top 5 of all time in WWE right now.
He's really good.
You know, and he's fantastic.
That was a good match.
That was, I think.
For sure.
We'll get on that after.
Yeah.
So, next up then, after a promo earlier, was Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. And he sort of had the pre-match thing with Nia and, what's his name? Reginald.
The sommelier.
Sort of talking to Shayna. I'm losing the plot. It's gone quite warm again today, so... Talking to Shayna, and they're like, you know, you got this, to good luck. And Shayna's like, I don't need luck, I'm going to beat the hell out of her. And they're just like, can't hurt, good luck. And then he's like, Reggie, Nia's like, Reggie, give Nia some luck. So he grabs her hand and he goes to kiss her hand and she's like, say, smack! And walks off and it's like,
so good.
That was great.
It's a very fluid motion.
It is. It's literally like, do, smack. It's like, no, not like you get the child and they're like going through the cookie jar. Yeah. Smack, no, just on the hand, just no.
It's like, do not touch me.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that was good. It was nice.
So Alexa comes out. I was expecting some sort of special entrance, but because this is the last non-live crowd pay-per-view, I expected maybe a sort of cinematic style match. Yeah. It wasn't. Shayna come out strong. She was hitting hard. Every time she sort of downed her or was giving body shots to Alexa and she was on the knees, she's like, and she come up and she starts smiling and laughing, almost like she's enjoying the pain, almost like a masochist of some sort.
It's so good.
One thing I've always liked in terms of Alexa Bliss in the ring with other people, especially people with submission athletes, is that she's double jointed.
Yeah,
she can make it look brutal. Like I remember the one match that she had with Becky Lynch, I believe it was, and Becky had the disarmer on her, and her elbow was pointing the wrong way, and he was like, oh God, that doesn't look right. Is that broken? Oh God, And Shayna was doing it to good effect as well, and I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, they did some good stuff.
Then they did this whole sort of hypnotism thing with Nia and Reginald and Shayna.
Yeah.
And that was just like,
it was so well done. So Alexa Bliss made eye contact with Nia Jax, and Nia was just staring, completely dead. And then Alexa Bliss starts raising her arm, and the camera turns to Nia Jax, and it's a mirror image raising her arm. And then Reginald comes over to try and snap her out of it. Alexa Bliss...
And Nia Jax slaps him out of it.
So good. A great way to turn the team against each other.
Which obviously in turn distracted Shayna a little bit. Alexa Bliss got the upper hand, dropped her with almost like a Sister Abigail DDT.
But it was sort of... her signature move before was Twisted Bliss, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was it sort of a mixture?
No. So what it is, they had the Sister Abigail, which she hooks it around for a DDT, plants Shayna Baszler. The Twisted Bliss is the move off the top rope.
Oh yeah.
So she climbs straight up, and
That's my bad memory.
You always forget how small Alexa Bliss is until she's trying to get to that top rope, and it's like, gosh, she's tiny.
So small.
But she's such a firecracker. She's great, and then she does that whole almost like a straight sort of flip, lands on Shayna 1, 2, 3. Alexa Bliss wins. So I think you predicted Alexa on that one as well.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good match.
And that match was only 7 minutes long, but it felt longer, but not in a bad way.
No,
there was a lot of stuff going on.
It had your attention the whole way, which some of the others didn't.
No. Just because I missed on last time, the Seth Rollins Cesaro match went for 16 minutes and 15. Again, that was one of the matches that didn't really go too long.
No.
I felt that it was the right length. It didn't feel bloated. It didn't feel undercut. I thought that was both of those were great matches.
Those were good.
So. Next up then, actually just one note before we go any further with this, is the first two matches were Smackdown matches.
Here we go.
Pat McAfee, just shut your pie hole, mate. I hate this guy. I can't stand him. I didn't like him when he turned up to NXT, shooting his mouth off at Adam Cole in the Undisputed Era. I am a bit biased, but screw it. But everyone's like, oh, Pat's great on commentary. No, he's not. Sort of the Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens match. So Kevin Owens has taken 2 Nigerian nails from Commander Aziz in the throat. It's just like a massive thumb to the throat, and he's having trouble breathing. And Pat's like, he's having trouble, like when you're trying to breathe in winter.
Yeah, it's like in the dead of winter when you're trying to get to your car. It's like he's a good commentator can fill silence with relevant, interesting information or anecdotes.
Not nonsensical garbage.
He's trying to fill the silence, and it feels like he's just pulling the first thing that comes to his head, and it's not always useful or relevant or interesting.
No.
Or funny.
No.
I mean, in the Cesaro match, he kept making football references, as in soccer, because it's the Euros.
He pulled the glove off Seth, didn't he? Yeah. And he kicked it like a football, yeah.
And then he started talking about being in overtime, which I think he was still trying to go with the soccer references, but it's completely
it doesn't
irrelevant.
fit in wrestling. There is no overtime in wrestling.
Especially because it wasn't a very long match. So
there's only one time I've ever seen overtime in a wrestling match, and that was the WrestleMania 12 Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. They went the full hour. They tied at 0 apiece. Gorilla Monsoon comes out. We start the match. That was the only time I've ever seen overtime in a match.
Yeah. It's just weird. So Pat McAfee, not really our favourite commentator.
No, I'm not a fan of him.
No.
Again, that might be spanning out from the Undisputed Era stuff, because I prefer Adam Cole to Pat McAfee any day of the week.
Well, yes.
But Yeah, just go back to American football, Pat.
Yeah.
Seriously,
there's
shut off.
better talent than you could have on the commentating table.
Yeah. So the Sammy Owens and Kevin Zayn. Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens match. Fantastic match. I thought it was a brilliant match. It was a lot slower than expected.
Yes.
Both guys tend to have more of a high dynamic style, especially Sami Zayn. He's very quite quick, especially the Luva kick and his flips. Not his flips, but he runs around quite a lot.
I suppose because they were playing into Kevin Owens having trouble breathing for the whole match, so they had to have slowed it down.
Yeah, which was good, and it didn't feel cheap, it didn't feel sluggish. It just felt, again, much like the Seth Rollins Cesaro match. It was these two guys literally hate each other. Let's just start swinging fists and see what happens.
There was some haymakers thrown.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was, and I think that's what it needed. Yeah. Obviously, with the Kevin Owens throat thing.
Yes, there's the proper anger, and that really came across in that match.
And then about maybe 2/3 of the way through the match, Kevin Owens starts favouring his wrist. And I'm like, is that legit? Or is he just selling? Excuse me. Or is he just selling? I don't know. And I still don't know now.
I don't know. But if he was selling it, if it wasn't a real injury, he sold it really well, because you couldn't tell. And you would believe that it was real. So
going back to what I said about Seth Rollins being one of the best in the ring, Kevin Owens is, in my opinion, better than Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
He's definitely in that top 5 in WWE
He's
right
so
now.
good.
In all aspects.
He's not like... He doesn't look like a particularly athletic guy, but he can move.
When he starts getting speed, my God, look out. The cannonballs he does, And then the pop-up power bombs and the stunner he pulled out on Sami out of nowhere as well. That was phenomenal.
He's really good.
Mate, seriously. And he's been gifted the stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin as well. So again, might be a little bit of bias there, but I've always liked Kevin Owens.
He's great, and he's great in promos. And
great on the mic.
When he was away with an injury, and he had loads of little vignettes of him just hanging out with his family.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
It's just wholesome.
Yeah, I think it was the beginning of COVID, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that was great. And he's a good family man. He loves his kids, loves his wife. He's a very wholesome person. He loves the fans, and that's fantastic. And not a lot of guys, the talent, will do that. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm a star, they're not. Screw on. Yeah. Brock Lesnar, he's notorious. A girl went up to him in an airport, said, do you mind if I get a signature? He went, not today. It's like, okay, I get it. You're on your time off, but these people look up to you.
Yeah.
So
at least be polite about it.
They make your money. They pay your wage by buying your merch, by paying for the tickets. If you're not going to help them when they're asking for one little squiggle or a photograph, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, at least sort of be courteous about it. Because you don't have to... They're probably getting asked for signatures constantly. And if you're in an airport, probably tired or jet-lagged and all this, but at least sort of say, sorry, I can't at the moment.
And
maybe an agent will help out.
But tangent. So I mean, and especially we both picked Kevin Owens to win this. Unfortunately, Sami Zayn did win it. I believe it was with a Helluva Kick. I think I don't actually remember.
But it was a good enough match that I'm quite happy with that result.
And it only ran for 12 minutes and 40, but it felt, again, there was a good story told throughout the entire thing. Apart from by Pat McAfee. And Michael Cole seemed to slip during this one as well.
He probably put off by Pat McAfee.
Yeah. So thankfully, that was the last Smackdown match. We haven't got to deal with Pat McAfee anymore. God, I hate that guy.
Still no sign of Sami Zayn's documentary, but there's still hope.
No. They'll build that up. Oh, it's going to come out at this day. It's going to come. And they'll build that. They'll put a storyline, I reckon. But they're obviously building on this. Sami Zayn's going to be a bit intolerable.
Oh, yes.
Intolerable.
He won clean, didn't he?
He did.
There was no cheating.
Quick side note on that one as well. It's a bit of a spoiler for the major main event Hell in a Cell match, but you'd expect a Hell in a Cell match to be the brutal ones, the ones that have bloodshed. The Sami Zayn Kevin Owens match was the only match with bloodshed, and it was Sami Zayn's lip or mouth. I'm not sure if it was his mouth or his lip, but it was blood coming from his mouth.
His mouth, yes.
Next up on the card was Rhea Ripley defending against Charlotte Flair for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Less of a mouthful to say than the SmackDown Women's Championship, but okay, here we go. Just sick of seeing Charlotte Flair still in the title picture. I really am. I think we covered this on the predictions episode. I mean, just sod off, Charlotte. Seriously.
This match wasn't particularly memorable for me.
The only thing that was memorable for me about this match is how much Charlotte sucked. She had Rhea on the floor. She's kicking her. Rhea's rolling away, and Charlotte's like, "Oh, you like my kicks?" She's like 6 foot away, and she's still kicking, even though she's not making. It's like
just blatantly just kicking the air.
This is why people say, "Oh, look, wrestling is fake."
Yeah, because that happens. It was
Absolute
pretty bad.
garbage.
That was. I don't know if that was what she'd intended to do, but if it was,
the Charlotte lovers
like
on the social medias will go, "Oh, she was in the heat of the moment. She was kicking air because she was attempting to hit Rhea. She was like 6 foot away from her. How is that attempting to kick someone?
She's nowhere near.
That's like me attempting to kick those stairs over there from here. It's not going to happen. I know it's not going to happen, and I'm not going to be stupid enough to try it. But yet here we go, Charlotte Flair.
It's a real shame because Rhea Ripley is really good and a great talent and a great champion. I've just remembered, it's just popped in my head, I remembered how the match ended.
The makeup as well, because you were taking much of Rhea's makeup
was so good.
Just before you get onto that bit.
Yeah.
One thing I felt, and I mentioned it to you as well during the match, was that Charlotte Flair seemed to be channeling Randy Orton.
Yes.
She seemed to be doing a lot of like slithery sliding in the ring on her fists kind of thing. And it's
creeping
like
up behind kind of thing.
RK Flair? I don't know what's going on with that.
RK Flair.
So yeah, here's the absolute BS ending of the night.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you take this one. Go on, you take this one.
Oh, you have to correct me if I'm wrong because my memory, because this was the most memorable match, might be a bit fuzzy. So they end up on the outside of the ring, as quite often they do in wrestling matches, so the ref's going to start counting. And then Rhea sort of flips the top of the...
It's like the fascia board of the table
the
with the Hell in a Cell logo.
The commentator's table at Charlotte. And then the match ends in disqualification.
Yeah, you just kind of hear ding, 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 ding. It's like, huh?
It's confusing because so many matches that are on the outside involve wrestlers putting each other through the announce table.
I'm pretty sure I've seen people literally do that before. Just grab it and just fling it out and just hit them. Or it's like me taking your head and ramming it into this table. That is more offensive than going smack with a bit of wood.
Yeah, so those matches, I've never seen that end in disqualification by putting someone through the announce table. The rules, you can't use foreign objects or weapons. So possibly it was sort of that she physically picked up a thing and threw it at her, and that was it. But
then if you're throwing someone at a table, you're still using a foreign object, is my gripe with it.
If you've got someone up on the announce table and you're slamming them through it,
it's a foreign object,
making sure that they hit this table. If this is a disqualification, why isn't all of that a disqualification? So
it's the same with the ring post and the steel steps when people throw them into those.
Yeah,
that should be an instant disqualification as well. Then.
If they wanted this match to end in a disqualification, Rhea could have grabbed the belt and hit Charlotte with it.
Yeah.
Or
Charlotte brings in something and snatches off her and cracks her with it.
Yeah. So using something that is used in a lot of matches to end in disqualification just
with
feels...
no detrimental effect, by the way.
Yeah, it didn't do anything. It's basically cardboard.
But Walter snapped it during that NXT show with his fist.
Perfect zigzag.
Anyway.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it was a bit of an anticlimactic end, a strange, confusing end. But there we go.
So Charlotte wins by disqualification.
But Rhea retains because you can't get the belt through a disqualification.
So Charlotte will remain in the title picture. Oh, well, I beat Rhea Ripley by disqualification. I want a no disqualification match. Yes. Or it'll be I want a match, and if she gets counted out or disqualified, I win the belt. It'll be one of those two.
Yeah.
Yawn.
It's going back to the same old WWE story progression of you go from a regular match to a no DQ match to a I don't know, like a
steel cage
or Falls Count Anywhere or something.
It's like there's two kinds of WWE fans I find at the moment. There's those who don't want long storylines, and then there's those who like the long storylines, the slow burns. Doing this is not a long storyline. It's a jagged storyline. It's, okay, you're building up this feud. You have a match. Then you have another match. Then another match. Then another match. Then another. That isn't a long burn feud. A long burn feud is when you don't have that culmination match for maybe a month or two. Like Austin and Rock at WrestleMania 17, I think it was. They had like a 2-month build-up. Yeah. And when they came out and they started wrestling, the crowd went nuts because they've been waiting for so long for it.
Yeah.
With this, Charlotte's in every friggin' title match.
Rematch. Yeah. And it's always going to be the same people.
Oh, watch now, right? It'll be Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley tonight on Raw.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The very next night they'll have
100%.
a rematch. I friggin' hate that.
Yeah.
Pay-per-view event, right, let's get this big match on the card, let's go. Oh, let's do it on Raw the next night.
And the worst thing about it, there are other women on the roster who should be getting the push and getting that opportunity, but it's Charlotte again.
Yeah. But there's rumours of Becky Lynch coming back.
Yeah, that'd be quite
But
cool.
again, she'll become the new Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, let's just stick the belt back on Becky.
She's an established member still. She was in NXT the same time as Charlotte, wasn't she?
She's one of the 4 horsemen of WWE, yeah. The 4 women,
I
rather.
wonder if they're going to team up.
So you had Sasha, Bayley, Charlotte, and Becky.
Yeah. So I think it's probably the most disappointing match for me. But I don't think I had high expectations. I had high expectations for Rhea, but she was held back, I think.
You stick anyone in the ring with Charlotte Flair and Vince is going to hold the other person back. That's the problem.
Because he wants Charlotte to be the big one.
Yeah, it's the name. So that match went for 14 minutes and 10 seconds long. It's like the third longest on the match.
It felt longer.
It did feel a lot longer. So then we go into the main event, which was the second of the Hell in a Cell matches. It was Drew McIntyre. I'm not going to do the Scottish accent again. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley for the WWE Championship in a last chance Hell in a Cell match. Or as my friend Craig, or our friend Craig would like to call it, Vince loves sweaty men. Big sweaty men match.
Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men.
That's it. Because I mean,
big sweaty men.
Bobby Lashley is a bulk. Drew McIntyre is a bulk.
Yeah, and they both sweat.
And they both sweat a lot, yeah. And
Lashley gets shiny.
Yeah, he really does. Yeah, he really does.
He's reflecting the cage.
Yeah, he always does. Like back when he was wrestling in Impact Wrestling, he'd wear a headband because he would sweat so much.
He was
just dripping down. Yeah. This was a pretty decent match. It wasn't anything technical. It wasn't anything flashy. It was 2 massive juggernauts almost just beating the hell out of each other.
Yeah, you were saying when Drew was entering, because in his entrance he has the big claymore sword. He holds it up and it puts it into the ring.
Stabs it in the ground.
And you were saying because you don't get disqualifications in a Hell in a Cell match. Why doesn't he just bring in the sword? He doesn't have to use it to cut. Just
smack him with a flat end.
someone with a flat end. That'll do some damage.
Yes. Imagine Lashley though. You got Drew standing there, I guess, with his sword. Lashley's gonna be like, "What have I got myself in for?" Imagine that visual.
I know. Yeah. But it was a good match. I mean,
Toy Central.
Oh yeah.
Tables, chairs, kendo sticks.
Didn't have any ladders.
That was Bayley and Bella.
Yeah.
They pulled out a ladder.
They did have that moment where Drew had accidentally knocked the ref out of the ring.
Oh yeah.
And Lashley was like primed to be pinned, but
yeah,
there was no
the claymore kicked in the air.
So McIntyre is yelling at the ref who's outside of the ring to get in so that he's got an official.
So they unlock the door with this massive chain on it.
Unfortunately, though, that lets in MVP, who drags the ref back out of the ring, so he can't count the pin. Yeah. But then you get the cool moment of McIntyre beating MVP up, which is fun.
Yeah, that's cool. Give him a claymore
nice
as well.
Touch. But it's good that, I mean, there wasn't a huge amount of unusual stuff happening in the first Hell in a Cell match of the evening. So it was nice to see something different happening.
It's not repeating itself.
Yeah, because there's only so much that you can do in a square box with some toys under the ring. But once you get that door unlocked, it's like anything can happen.
Yeah. We look at Mankind and Undertaker again, going back to that match on the top of the cell.
Yeah.
It's like, jeez.
Once the door's open, anything goes. It's almost like worse having the door open than being locked in Hell in a Cell, weirdly.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you think about I don't know if you saw the Hell in a Cell match between Shane McMahon and The Undertaker at WrestleMania.
I don't think I've seen all of it.
Can't remember what year it was, but they managed to get outside the cell. I think Shane literally busts the cell to get out, and Taker follows him, and they climb up on the top. Oh, no, sorry. So Shane takes him to the announce desk, dumps Taker on the announce desk, goes to the top of this cage, like 20 foot in the air.
I've seen that.
He's standing right on the edge, and he's just like, it's like, Shane, don't do it. Whoosh, just jumps off the cage, and Taker moves, and it's like, oh my God.
That's how a man dies.
Shane McMahon's done some really crazy stuff in his career, my word.
He's got that commitment.
Oh, he's intense. I love Shane. I love Shane O'Mac.
So, good match.
So...
Good use of the format, I think.
Yeah, and again, MVP was supposed to not get involved in the match, but he does at the end, so Drew's trying to go for the Claymore kick, and MVP grabs his ankle, Bobby comes behind, I think he just sort of crushes him into the corner, arm between the legs, rolls him up, 1, 2, 3, Bobby Lashley wins with a quick pin, and I'm like, oh!
So that means that McIntyre cannot challenge Lashley for the title again.
Yep. So until someone else wins that title from Lashley. Nope.
So this is possibly leading into what we were discussing in the predictions episode, that maybe we'll get Lashley versus Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. SummerSlam, I reckon.
SummerSlam.
Maybe. There is talk of Lesnar coming back.
Yeah.
There's talk of Bayley coming back. There was someone else, I can't remember who it was. John Cena and The Rock as well.
Oh.
Apparently. Because it's the first sort of times in front of live crowds. SummerSlams, but even if it's just for like, oh hey, you know, we're hosting the show or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, it's always nice to see some of those big guys.
Yeah.
You know, if that glass breaks, I'm going to be the first one jumping for joy.
Very
you know,
true.
Stone Cold comes out. Oh, he's not fighting, but it's good to see Stone Cold. It's always good to see Stone Cold.
Yeah. I just don't really fancy seeing John Cena in the ring again for some reason.
No.
You know, just give the other guys a chance.
But what if it's just like someone shooting his mouth if he comes down, slam, goodbye,
Yeah, that's
walks out.
fine.
You know,
That's
that's
great.
fine. That's fine.
I mean, he is.
Appease the fans, right?
Yeah. And he's
As-
good on the mic and everything. So.
As Vince would say, Hogan must pose. And in this case, Cena must pose. Because give him his credit, Cena looks, again, he's a male specimen. He's an absolute specimen.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And can you imagine John Cena versus Bobby Lashley?
Oh.
That would be a slugfest. I don't think they'd let Cena win.
No.
But that would be a hell of a ruckus.
That would be interesting.
What if, right? It's John Cena versus Bobby Lashley, and Brock Lesnar just destroys both of them. Just comes out, just all really, I want my belt back. Comes down, just wrecks a pair of them.
Yeah, but then you're going to need a triple threat match.
Not necessarily. He could
It's
injure.
WWE.
He could injure John Cena.
Interesting. It may end up in the list of dream matches we'll never see.
The first time Brock Lesnar came back to WWE after going to UFC was when John Cena was in the ring. And he was cutting his promo. He's the night after WrestleMania, the Monday after WrestleMania. There's always these big turn-ups. Brock Lesnar's music hits. Boom, out he comes. And John Cena's like, hi, Brock, nice to see you. And Brock just grabs him and F5s the hell out of him. It's like, so...
Yeah, I have my problems with Brock Lesnar, but...
Yeah.
He can F5 someone.
Oh, yeah. But then let me put it this way, right? Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns? Pick one.
As in, to have...
Who would you prefer as a champion?
Brock Lesnar, as long as he's got Paul Heyman with him.
At least Brock Lesnar went to shut his trap.
Yeah.
I'm getting fed up with Roman Reigns head of the table a lot.
Yeah. Roman Reigns doesn't need Paul Heyman because he can talk.
Yep. I'm still wondering who they're going to pull in to bring that belt off him. And there's always been that dream match talk of Roman Reigns versus The Rock. Who's to say that's not going to happen? And Roman Reigns did put a tweet out.
That would be good because they're like related, aren't they?
Yeah. It's all part of the same family, yeah.
The Rock comes back as the true head of the table. Really puts him in his place. That would be such a good resolution. Yeah.
And there was a tweet, I don't know when, it might have been yesterday, it might have been the day before, Roman Reigns basically saying The Rock and John Cena need to stay away from WWE because they don't want any piece of the head of the table.
Guys.
And I'm like, are they setting something up here?
I want to see this. Make it happen.
Versus Roman Reigns. But that would be, again, a long burn.
You'd need
that would be, The Rock shows up, Roman Reigns sort of beats him down or whatever, Rock disappears for a couple of months, comes back like Survivor Series, beats down Roman Reigns comes back next night all pissed off, right, I want Rock.
Yeah.
And then Rock's like, I'll do that for you on one guarantee. WrestleMania main event. Rock, Reigns, WrestleMania.
And then Reigns can go take a break.
Boom, please do. So the last match for that card went 25 minutes and 45 seconds. As I say, the entire event went for about 2 hours 50, not including the pre-show. It's probably not the worst event I've seen.
No, not.
But not the best by a long shot.
No, I think most of the matches were good. They had their moments. I think the only sort of flop for me was the Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, which was it's a real shame. Like I said, Rhea Ripley deserves better.
Let me ask you this, right? Which is the worst of these two matches? Okay. Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley. Or Mandy Rose versus Natalia.
Oh, Mandy Rose versus Natalia. I wasn't even counting that because it was on the pre-show. Oh yeah, definitely.
So, which is your favourite match of the night?
My favourite match was Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler.
Yeah.
It wasn't a lot of the use of the supernatural powers, but it was sort of a little bit, but really, really effective and well done.
I would still think I would have loved to see the Fiend show up, but
yes, there's still time.
Yeah, there's still time. For that. I think he's making his comeback so good. So,
soon.
I think for me, it's probably gonna be the Cesaro versus Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
I really got invested in that match.
Oh, it was.
I just thought it was fantastic. I think close second was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. But I think that Seth Rollins Cesaro match just edged it out. You know.
It was good, mostly technical sort of.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was Cesaro and Seth Rollins. Yeah, it was brawling, and then it kind of slipped technical. Yeah, but it kind of towards the back half of the match.
It was
There's
well
a H in
balanced.
that word, guys.
Well balanced.
Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
Well, right, cool. So that wraps this particular episode up. As always, let us know what you think down below in the comments. Hit the subscribe button. Let us know what I can't talk. Do you want to take it away? I can't talk.
Let us know, who do you want to see beat Roman Reigns up?
Do you want to see Roman Reigns ever fight on a pay-per-view again? Because at this rate, it's not going to happen because he's just throwing his toys out the pram.
Yeah. It doesn't work Sundays. Thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you liked it. Let us know what you thought in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and click that bell if you want to find out when we post new stuff.
Next wrestling event video will probably be Money in the Bank.
Yep.
I think that's the next pay-per-view. I don't think AEW's got anything until September.
I don't think so. AEW don't pile on the pay-per-views as much as WWE do.
I mean, if we covered Impact Wrestling, we'd probably be doing a lot more as well. But
yeah, we've got other stuff we want to cover, and we have not got time for that. Maybe we'll do something like an overall thing about Impact at some point.
Maybe. Well, I need to catch up with it first, so I haven't watched it in ages.
I haven't watched it. Follow us on socials. That we've got our links and stuff in the channel description, and we'll put stuff in the video description as well.
It's gotten really warm, so just bear with us, guys.
It's been a long day. On that crazy note of bad English, we'll see you next time. Bye.